And welcome back. Happy New Year to all of you. And for my very first video for 2021, I'm going to make this desktop organizer. It consists of a tray and 5 varying size boxes, and it's really quite simple to make. Stick with me and I'll show you how. For the tray and the boxes, I'm going to be using the American cardstock 216 GSM in the 12 by 12, and for the matting I've got this first edition Perfect Illusion paper pad, and this is in the 6 by 6 version. Start with the scoring of the cardstock for the tray and the 5 boxes. This is for the tray, and it is cut at 8 1/8 inches by 8 5/8 inches. And on this one, we're going to score all 4 sides exactly the same. It's a reinforced tray, so it's going to have a fold over lip on it. So first we're going to score at 1/2 inch, and then at 1 3/4 inches. Turn it, and again 1/2 inch and 1 3/4, all 4 sides. And 1 3/4. I'm going to set that aside and go on with the boxes. And the first box, which is actually the smallest of them, this paper is, or this card I should say, is cut at 6 1/2 by 3 1/4. And on the long side, the 6 1/2 inch side, I want to score it at 1 inch, at 3 inches, at 4 inches, and at 6 inches. Then turn it to the short side and score it at 1 inch and at 2 3/4 inches. And that's the first box. The next box measures 10 1/2 by 5 1/2. And on the long side, the 10 1/2 inch side, score it at 2 1/2, at 5, at 7 1/2, and at 10 inches. Then turn it to the short side and score this at 2 1/2 and at 5 inches. Okay, so that's box number 2. Box number 3 measures 8 1/4 by 5 1/4, and on the long side, score it at 2, at 4, at 6, and at 8. And on the short side, score it at 2 inches and at 5 inches. And that's box 3. Box 4, this one measures 10 1/2 by 7 inches. And on the 10 1/2 inch side, score it at 2 1/2, at 5 inches, at 7 1/2, and finally at 10 inches. Then turn it to the short side and score it at 2 1/2 and at 6 1/2. So you can see we're leaving 1/2 inch here for all of our boxes, and that's where we're going to reinforce them. And then finally, our last box measures 8 1/4 by 8 inches. So on the 8 1/4 inch side, scored at 2, at 4, at 6, and at 8. And then on the short side, scored at 2 inches and at 7.5 inches. So again, that's our 1/2 inch on that side. Going to put the tray together first. It is cut differently than the boxes, but all the boxes are cut exactly the same. But for the tray, we have this, and what we're going to do is, and I'll mark it out for you here, we're going to remove these 3 pieces, these 2 rectangles and this square, and we're going to do that on all sides. So all that is going to get removed. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take my scissors and I'm going to cut up the score line. And I'm going to cut up this score line. And then I can just remove that bit there, and I'm going to remove this as well. The other thing I want to do is put a little bit of a wedge in here, so take some of the bulk out when I'm gluing those tabs together, and I'm just going to take that little bit off where the score line was. Okay. Turn it to here, and I'm going to do the same on this side. I can come up that score line there, and these 2, take that off, and I can take this one off as well. And to make those wedges. Now here, where this one is, I'm just going to take a tiny little bit off of this, miter it just a little bit, doesn't need to be a whole lot, because that is going to get folded in on itself. Okay, I'm going to repeat this on the other side. I'm going to put the tray together first. It is cut differently than the boxes, but all the boxes are cut exactly the same. But for the tray, we have this, and what we're going to do is, and I'll mark it out for you here, we're going to remove these 3 pieces, these 2 rectangles and this square, and we're going to do that on all sides. So all that is going to get removed. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take my scissors and I'm going to cut up the score line, and I'm going to cut up this score line, and then I can just remove that bit there, and I'm going to remove this as well. The other thing I want to do is put a little bit of a wedge in here, so take some of the bulk out when I'm gluing those tabs together, and I'm just going to take that little bit off where the score line was. Okay. Turn it to here, and I'm going to do the same on this side. I can come up that score line there, and these 2, take that off, and I can take this one off as well. those wedges. Now here, where this one is, I'm just going to take a tiny little bit off of this. Miter it just a little bit. Doesn't need to be a whole lot. So that is going to get folded in on itself. Okay, I'm going to repeat this on the other side. All the boxes are going to get cut the same way. So I'm going to start here with this smallest of the boxes. And for each of these, you want to be sure that the 1/2 inch score line, which is for the reinforced top of each of the boxes, is here at the top. Because what we're going to do is cut up these 4 score lines, and we're going to remove that rectangle. So I'll show you that now. Cut up 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one. And then you're simply going to cut that off. Right? So this is the reinforcement, as I said, and the best thing to do with this is to go ahead and apply your adhesive, whether you're going to use liquid glue like I'm going to, or double-sided tape, and go ahead and do it first before you actually do the burnishing of the box. So go ahead and glue this down. Right. And push all that glue to the edges so it's really stuck down. Okay. And then we'll be able to do the burnishing and also the decorating of the box. As you can see, you've got that double thickness there now. So just to show you how this will work, I'm going to score all these marks here. And what you can do is take just a little nip out of that there. And this will be your tabs that will fold in at the bottom. Okay, so this will fold over. So this is going to fold over. You're going to put your adhesive here and just glue that together and then fold in your tabs on the bottom. But again, I'm going to decorate that before I actually do that. So now I'm just going to carry on with the other boxes, and again I'll show you again how to cut these. Start with the 1/2 inch score mark at the top, cut up the score lines here, these 4 score lines, and remove this rectangle. So cut there. Again. And I'm going to remove this last one. And we can actually take a little wedge off there. And before we do anything more else, I'm going to fold, burnish that fold line, and apply the adhesive. And this will give it a nice, strong reinforcement at the top of the box. So fold that down, go back again with the bone folder, push all that adhesive out to the edges. And as I said, you could use double-sided tape with this, red liner tape, glue. Okay, And of course all these are going to get folded up as well. And then each of these boxes are going to get decorated. So I'm going to carry on and complete the rest of the boxes, and then we'll go to the decoration part. Okay, I think I made a mistake with the measurements here. This should have been 8.5 by 5 1/4, but it will still give us this 1/4 inch tab, so it should be alright. So for that third box, I would recommend you cut that at 8.5 by 5 1/2 instead of the 5 1/4. I think the instructions I received may have been wrong, or I wrote it down wrong. One or the other. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this though and make it work. So again, on this one, the last one, the instructions said to cut it at 8 1/4 by 8, and I don't know if they were just trying to save a little bit of cardstock, but that means that this tab here is only going to be 1/4 inch, so this one is still 1/2 inch, but if you wanted to, you could just add another 1/2 inch to this measurement. So instead of the 8 1/4, you could cut it at 8.5. But I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference for this. So there we go. That is all of our boxes folded and ready to decorate. I'm going to start with the tray. Just set these aside for the moment. And bring in the decorative pieces for this. Now for this, we're going to need 4 pieces. 2 of them are cut at 1 inch by 4 3/8 inches, and 2 are cut at 4 7/8 by 1 inch. So that's 1 inch for all 4, but 2 of them are 4 3/8, and 2 are 4 7/8. So they are, because one side is slightly longer than the others. Now I just need to decide which side of this I like. Do I want that side? Which I think I will. I'm going to use this side here for my decorative side. Let's put these down. Now to construct this, first thing I want to do is take these tabs. I'm going to burnish them again. And I'm going to go ahead and do that one as well. Let's go all the way around. Do that. And I want to stick these tabs here first before we actually put these in place. In fact, I'm going to just sort of pull these out of the way. And put these in. going to match these corners up here. Okay, so put in our adhesive here on the end. And I'm using the liquid glue, so I'm going to hold it for a little bit. Give it a chance to grab on there. Take my bone folder, sort of move it there. I can run my finger along there to see that it's square. And then take my bone folder and go in here. And hold that for a bit first before I move on. What I do is take a clip. In this case I've got a paper clip here. And I can just put that in place there and hold that while I move on to the other side. So I've given this glue a chance to grab hold, and now I can start to fold in these tabs. So I'm going to apply glue to that and fold it in. And again, our bone folder, and go in there, and it also grabs the ends of those side tabs as well. So there is the outer tray completed. So we're going to set that aside and it can dry fully and move on to our boxes. So it doesn't matter which one we start with. They're all put together exactly the same, just like they were all cut the same. So the Now I'm going to do the boxes, and the pattern paper for this one, box number 1, which is the smallest of the boxes, we're going to have 2 pieces that are cut at 3/4 of an inch by 1 3/4, and then 2 pieces that are 1 3/4 by 1 1/2. So they are going to go here, and for this I'm going to alternate them. So I'm going to have this piece here with the flower side up, and if it has an orientation, you want to be sure that you get it in the right orientation. Okay. Now this one is going to take the 3/4, so that's going to go here. And assemble this by, first of all, put in our adhesive on this tab here, and can take just a little nip out of that as well. Place it down and fold this one over. make sure that's all secure. Yeah. Now we see we can fold in the sides and the bottom. So I'm just going to put some adhesive here on each of these tabs, fold it in, and then on this one hold this bottom in place. So you can just tip it over, take a bone folder, go in there and give it a good press. And that is the first of our boxes done. Moving on to the next. Now this one should be good. Just going to go ahead and I'm going to take that bulk out of that edge there as well. This one is matted with 2 1/4 inch squares. So these are going to be the 2 1/4 inch squares on all 4 of these. Second done, and number 3 for this you want 4 mats cut exactly the same size, and these are cut at 1 3/4 by 2 3/4, so they should fit right on there. And again, we can choose which side we want, or if we want to mix them up, which we could do. We could alternate these, like so. This fourth box is matted with these pieces, which measure 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. So that's 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to use that side for each of these. I'm going to go ahead and again reduce that and burnish along these score lines. And our fifth and final box, which is the tallest of them all, again with that 1/4 inch tab there, which you could increase to 1/2 inch if you so desire. And I'm going to take that bulk out and mat it with these 4 pieces, which each measure 5 1/4 by 1 3/4. So 5 1/4 by 1 3/4. Here we are. You can see we can get rulers, pencils, long scissors, small scissors, ball tool, pokey tool, pick, all sorts of things in here. I mean, I haven't even gone close to filling it up, have I? As you can see, plenty of room here. Glue bottles, tweezers, and it's really steady, and there's still plenty of room for more. I do apologise for any confusion on the cutting of the cardstock or the matte pieces. I will be sure that though that I have any corrections or suggestions on screen where I'm giving you the details of those. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you will give this a try and tidy up your desk as well. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time on the next video. Bye and crafty hugs.